I seen this pop up on CNBC. Um, and if you are a part of Stock Club and if you are a part of the Patreon, you know that Anton does not advocate that you invest in the hospitality industry. I'm not telling you that you can't, but the way that we break down stocks, and we do have Stock Club coming later on this week, the way that we break down stocks, um, and whether or not you should invest in any of these companies, I am not a fan of the hospitality industry at all because it's a boom and bust cycle. They carry a lot of debt. It takes a lot for them to continue to maintain. They have to continuously reinvest in the business and build new cruise ships and stuff like that. And that comes from, the hospitality industry as far as what supports the hospitality industry and all of that, right? I'm not a fan of airline stocks. I'm not a fan of hotel stocks. I'm not a fan of cruise lines because the first thing that people cut out when they have a problem or whenever there's a crunch or whenever we have a crisis or whenever it's happening is they start to cut out extra spending, which boggles my mind, right? Because I'm looking at this and we just got done reviewing the fact that homelessness is exploding across the board, right? And we also talked about how inflation been killing people and people been getting evicted. But you know what's booming right now in the midst of it all? Credit card debt is bigger than it's ever been in history. People are getting evicted, rent moratorium, inflation is high, people are fighting for livable wages and all of this stuff, right? And the cruise ship industry is booming. I can't figure it out. And this is aside from the fact that I don't agree with cruises. I got a cruise that MGM gave me, and I still ain't even, I just can't bring myself to do it. I get a free cruise every single year at a luxury cruise liner, and I just can't do it. They ain't even got the type of Wi-Fi that we can use in order to do the show. You telling me that the Wi-Fi on a cruise line is good enough to do the Millionaire Morning Show?
Yes. People work. So they got a 9-month cruise that people are on right now, and people are working. Like, people are doing their jobs on the cruise ship.
Yeah, but they jobs ain't as sweet as mine. See, you got something on your lip. That's what you get. All right, y'all. I don't understand the cruise line industry, and I don't understand how, in this midst of everybody saying they broke, that the cruise line industry is booming ever more than ever before. But let's check it out, y'all. Why would
The
you want
cruise
to be on that?
industry is back.
Why would anybody want to be on that? Do you see that?
We were able to say we entered 2024 the highest we've ever been booked.
There are millions and millions of customers coming in to the cruise industry and then onto our ships that have never cruised before.
About 36 million passengers are expected to embark on a ship in 2024. That's about 20% more than 2019.
That's
Cruising
crazy.
offers an unbelievable combination of two things, and that is being easy to book, easy to execute, and often the price being quite low.
But the industry is coming off its toughest test yet.
The coronavirus that sickened passengers on a cruise ship a week ago remains in quarantine.
2 years into the
Oh,
pandemic.
they got Starlink, Keita. That got to be it. They got to be using Starlink. Same thing. I think that Delta uses Starlink also. But they got to be using Starlink, but I don't know. We'll see.
Airlines had accumulated about $74 billion in debt. Bleeding cash flows and tanking share prices led to questions about whether the industry could recover.
We started hearing people talking about cruising is dead. But of course, cruising is not dead.
So how did cruise lines make this astounding comeback? And what does it mean for the future?
Now, I don't want to hear about the history of cruising. I don't want to hear about the dark days. I guess we can go over the dark days.
Although historically plagued by viral outbreaks, nothing could have prepared the cruise industry for February of 2020.
You was on a cruise lady?
Thousands of quarantined passengers.
The Anthem of the Seas was supposed to be at sea tonight.
We have a couple of hundred new cases.
We were seeing something completely different. We were seeing ships being turned away from ports, people not being able to disembark.
Hell
Stocks
no.
of the big three public cruise companies plummeted in the first quarter of 2020.
And I remember that. I remember when people couldn't get off the cruise ship and they was stuck on a cruise ship during the pandemic. And you seen them people and they were showing it, and I was like, y'all just had to go. We knew about the pandemic. We knew about the virus before the virus ever became mainstream. Remember, because my little cousin, he got sick and he couldn't figure out what it was, and he went to the doctor and they said that it wasn't the flu and it wasn't this and wasn't that, and this dude was going through it. I said, Rita, it's something else out here. It's something else out here. He was going through it, and he young and healthy. Dude was what, 20s or early 20s and productive and a basketball player and eats healthy, and he was like, I can't help. I'm over here feeling like I'm dying. I'm like, man. I'm like, what is wrong? We wasn't saying him and stuff like that. I said, what's wrong with him? This was like 2019, before 2020 hit. This was like the fall. It was November, yep. It was November in the fall. And I was like, something is happening out here in these streets. I'm about to sit tight. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't going nowhere. I'm about to retire.
He stayed sick all the way through, like,
He was sick for a very long time. He was sick for a very long time. And it wound up being that, which tells me that they knew what was going on way before they released it to the general public, before they started saying anything to us. That junk been over here. Oh my God, it's the first reported case of the pandemic. I'm trying to use certain words. It's the first reported case of the pandemic. I was like, man, them cases been over here. They been here. People been sick up over this joint. But let me continue.
And the industry had to shut down for 15 months. By September of 2022, the three public cruise lines had accumulated $74 billion of debt.
That balance comes with a big interest expense burden. We were chugging along at about $200 million of interest expense before the pandemic, and now, it's hovering around $1.8 billion.
There is no textbook, there is no business school class, there is no experience that teaches you on what happens one day when you're not operating for a very long period of time. So we really spent the time to focus on that, get our cost structure in place, while at the same time making sure that we maintained our ships very well.
By 2022, the cruise lines were up and running as 20.4 million travelers decided to get back on the water.
When the shackles came off the industry, when the CDC stepped away from the industry, bookings went through the roof.
And so did share prices. In 2019, Royal Caribbean's gross revenue was nearly $11 billion, and Carnival's was nearly $21 billion. Those numbers are expected to reach about $16 billion and $25 billion, respectively, in 2024.
We're coming off of a 2023 where I got to use record every single quarter. Record revenue, record pricing levels that we were achieving, and it accelerated over the course of 2023.
And that momentum continued into 2024.
It's a business that generates a lot of revenue, a lot of margin, a lot of cash flow, and we were confident that once we got back into service, that we would accelerate into this and that the demand for Icon, as well as our broader fleet and brands, was going to be exceptionally strong, and that has clearly proven out.
The Icon of the Seas, the biggest ship in the world and latest addition to Royal Caribbean's fleet, sailed its maiden voyage out of Miami in January of 2024. It started booking back in October of 2022, where it set the company's
You want to go on the Icon of the Seas? Why?
The biggest cruise ship in the fleet.
What does that mean? Why do I want to be on the biggest cruise ship in the fleet?
They have like a whole Central Park on there that look like New York. They got a small amusement park.
But why don't I just? Why would I want to go to a park that looked like New York? Why wouldn't I just go to New York?
Because you get to visit islands as well.
Okay, so we fly to New York and then we go and visit whatever island we want to visit, and then we get to immerse ourselves in the island.
You do everything in one stop. It's one stop shopping.
But you're not really in New York. You're on a cruise ship that looks like New York.
What I'm saying is that, that's not the reason. I'm just telling you some of the amenities that are available on there.
If y'all find me stuck on a cruise ship, then y'all know that it was not my it's not my choice. It's not by choice. If y'all find me stuck on a cruise ship, no, that is not by choice. I will not be vlogging from there. I will do my show. I will do my due diligence, but I will not be vlogging, and I will sit in my room.
Oh. So you have a tantrum, basically.
I didn't say I was gonna have a tantrum. I said that I had to work.
That sounds like a tantrum.
That's not a tantrum. That's why you still got hot chocolate on your face. Oh my God.
Single day bookings. Out of the big three public cruise companies, Royal Caribbean maintained the highest overall 2023 ticket revenue increase compared to pre-pandemic levels. And its profitability increased too.
The best
Where are
profitability
people getting all
measurement for
this
this
money from?
business is probably EBITDA per capacity unit, right? So like literally how much profit they make on every cabin, right, on average. And if I look at 2024 and what we're modeling for 2024,
Don't
Royal
listen to these
Caribbean
people in the chat.
has grown that metric versus 19, whereas the other two have not.
Despite that, 2023 was Norwegian's first profitable year in terms of net income since 2019.
See what I'm saying? Why would I invest in a cruise stock? It's so fickle. Bag chasers. Do not invest in cruise stocks. Can't wait to do whatchamacallit? Stock Club.
One analyst called it the biggest growth story in the cruise sector in April of 2024.
We're seeing record book positions, record guests traveling, record prices, and it gives us great optimism for the future.
Once a ship sets sail, operating expenses don't change much, whether it's full or not. That means, historically, the cruise lines have done whatever they can to fill their ships.
So when the cruise industry looks over at the airline industry and sees that the airline industry has trained all guests, right, and you and me to not wait until the last minute and to expect if you wait in the last minute, you're going to pay the highest price.
No, listen, some of y'all saying, hey, yeah, you can make payments on it or whatever. I get a free one every year. I just don't use it.
No, you was asking how do people afford this? They telling you that's how.
Yeah, but if you're making payments, then that means you can't afford it. No?
Some people planning like a year out.
Look, one of the things that you get is an annual complimentary. Let me cover up my number. I don't want them seeing my platinum number. It's an annual complimentary. Hold on, I got to spin that around. I get a free annual complimentary high-end cruise every single year, right? Every single year I get one. And I don't go. Rita's saying that I'm going this year. I don't know about that, ma'am. I don't go. I've been on a cruise before. I've been on a cruise and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I got on off over there. Yep. And then I seen, who do we see on there? Hulk Hogan? I was like, oh, man, it's the Hulkster. Yep, I seen Hulk Hogan and his daughter Brooke and all of them. Hulk Hogan was on my cruise.
Cruise industry wants for itself.
And now, that's finally happening, at least for Royal Caribbean and Carnival. Simply put, these graphs show how as the ship's sail date approached in 2022, prices went up. In 2023, at an even stronger rate. Norwegian, the third largest cruise line, has not experienced the same shift.
Low to high, that's the ideal, right? Not high to low, where you have 90 days to basically sell distressed inventory. That's a bad habit to get into. Consumers know it, the trade knows it, and they'll take advantage of that.
But it's not only the ability to increase prices as the sail date nears that's important. According to experts, traveling on a cruise ship has traditionally been about 25 to 30% cheaper.
Can we get a chaser meetup on a cruise? Man.
Than land-based traveling. That difference widened during the pandemic. Today, it sits at about 40 to 50%.
We'll always be able to say we're evaluated, right? We can always be lined up against land alternatives.
You get a free suite and you're not going, that's wild. What do I care? I get the top of the line. Whatever it is that's at the top. What's the top one at the cruise ship? That's what I get. It's a suite? Ocean View suite.
I think you can pick a 3-day. You don't have to be gone
What's the shortest cruise that you can get?
3.
I gotta go?
3 days.
Do I have to go? Why?
What else you gotta do? You're so dramatic.
I'm not dramatic. She said I'm so dramatic. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with cruises. It's just not my thing.